Welcome to video number 4. Video number 4 is going to be a nice continuation from video number 3, where we broke down the first 5 years of the high cash value policy design and how we were able to have high cash value very early on in the policy. So what we're going to look at in this video is how are we able to do that. Three of the main things that you're going to need to focus on and pay attention to in this video are what's called the base premium, and specifically a low base premium. Number 2 is going to be the flexible protection rider, otherwise known as the term insurance rider. And then number 3 is the paid up additions rider. These things are critical as far as having high cash value in your policy. You must have these three things designed properly to achieve the favorable numbers, especially in the early years. This is why banks, corporations, wealthy individuals use this asset for multiple reasons. Again, this is completely different from your traditional whole life insurance policy. If you've ever heard anyone talk unfavorably about whole life insurance, they are talking about a traditional policy where there is no cash value in the first couple of years. Some of the things they will also mention is it's very expensive. The agent gets paid a very high commission. Okay. That is not occurring with these designs. In fact, the agent is actually getting paid a much, much lower commission, essentially as low as possible, so that that money can go in the client's possession in his or hers cash value. Let's take a deep dive into what's called the base premium, term rider, and paid up additions rider. This slide is really going to help you understand how the total premium is broken down into three separate categories. So if you look over here to the right, you'll see that the total premium is $18,400 per year. Okay. And that is broken into three separate categories. So let's break down each one of these categories. The base contract premium, and that is outlined right here, that is $3,342 per year. Essentially what this is, and I've wrote up here permanent, this is the whole life premium of the policy. This has been brought down essentially as low as possible. We can get this a little bit lower with some different designs, but this is right around where you want this number to be. From a percentage standpoint, okay, let's say your total premium was $10,000, right? Your base contract premium, in most cases, is going to be between 15 and 40% of the total premium. Why that range is so big is going to be explained in videos to come, but it should be somewhere within that range. The lower that this base premium is, the higher that the cash value will be right away in the policy. So again, we can get this number lower, but for this example, we're going to use this. This is the minimum required premium for the permanent aspect of the policy. Now, the FPR contract premium, which I put up here, is essentially term insurance. What we're doing here is we are blending whole life and term into one product. Okay, so it is a whole life insurance policy. However, a lot of the death benefit is coming from the term rider. We've discussed why term is much cheaper than permanent. So that is why we add a term rider to the policy, because it helps us to bring down the cost of insurance. So there's a few different things that we're doing to the design of the policy to bring down the cost as low as possible. These two numbers combined, this 3342 coming from the permanent aspect of the policy and this 1003 coming from the term aspect of the policy, these are buying a certain amount of death benefit. It's actually a 1-to-1 ratio. The 3342 is buying the same amount of death benefit as the 1003, and you'll see that in the next slide. Now, this section is your paid up additions rider. And you'll see that this number, 14,055, that is the bulk of the total $18,400 premium. This is the key to all of this. You have to have a paid up additions rider attached to your policy. If you do not have a paid up additions rider attached to your policy, you will have zero cash value for 2 years in your policy. Okay. So again, 14,055 in the first couple of years, this is where your cash value accumulation is coming from. So if this amount is not put into the policy, you will have no cash value. So you want to put this in. In this last slide, we're going to cover why you want to put that additional amount of money in. And we're also going to look at the amount of death benefit that is being purchased from the whole life premium and the term rider premium. So for this paid up additions rider, right, this is why you want to put that money into your policy every single year if you can. Okay, so simply put, this rider allows you to increase your policy cash value, potential dividends, and death benefit by allowing you to pay extra premiums to purchase additional paid up whole life insurance, paid up additions. You also choose the length of time over which you want to pay these extra premiums. Again, that amount, that $14,000 amount, doesn't have to be put in. A portion of it could be put in per year, and none of it could be put in per year. That's completely up to you. However, every time you put in paid up additions, you are increasing your cash value and potential dividends, future dividends. So as your dividends get bigger every single year, the size of the dividend is based off of your total cash value amount, which is accumulated, especially in the early years, by what? By your paid up additions. So you really want to get that money in, especially in the early years. Now, to wrap up this video, if you look up here, you'll see where it says initial base face amount and initial flexible protection rider face amount. If you recall, in the previous slide, we talked about each premium, the whole life premium and the term premium, are buying a certain amount of death benefit. And I specified that that death benefit amount was a 1-to-1 ratio, and that is what you're seeing here. So the 3,300 from the whole life premium is buying what's called 173,000 of death benefit. And the 1,003 term rider premium is also buying the same amount of death benefit. You add those two up, and you get that 346, let's call it. If you remember the previous slide from video 3, that's what our total death benefit was day 1. All right. So in the next video, what you're going to see is future projections beyond year 5. That's going to include dividends accumulated every year. You'll see the dividends and how they increase every single year. You will see how the cash value accumulation increases after year 5. And that's where it gets very, very appealing from a cash on cash return perspective and an internal rate of return perspective. And then you're also going to see how much this death benefit is increasing by every single year. Another thing we're going to look at is short pay options. And we're going to finish up video number 5 with one of the most intriguing factors to all of this, something that caught my eye very early on, and that is how much supplemental retirement income these policies will kick out in retirement years.